Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Thankfully, we're such professionals. Oh, sorry about that. No, just kidding. How's it going, everybody? Jesse Montaño. That's JJ Jerez. We didn't know the countdown was going until there was 5 seconds left. This is Guerrilla Sports Off Ice. As you can see, talking all things Colorado Avalanche and NHL.
We should do one on ice at some point.
An off ice on ice?
Off ice on ice.
Ooh, I love that. Maybe during training camp.
Yeah.
Right at center ice on whatever the busiest rink is.
I said it all season long, partially in jest, partially serious, that I would have loved to do one of our post-game wrap-ups from center ice, especially, you know, they have often that free skate or whatever they do every once in a while. That'd be a perfect opportunity. Just pop out in the middle, bring a camera.
I feel like there was one time we floated that to Mark and he was like, I am not taking this equipment out there for your guys' musings.
Well, maybe he could do it from like the seat, right? And just zoom in
show
on
off
us.
one of his lenses or something.
Yeah.
Actually, that'd get him going. Like, yeah, Mark, bring your best equipment.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a challenge for him.
Yeah.
He'll be up to it.
Yeah. All right, Mark, I'll bet you can't film us at center ice while you're not on the ice. And he does it better than anyone. JJ, I told the folks yesterday, it's the unofficial final week of the NHL offseason. Next week is September, Labor Day, and you have nothing official on the ice next week, but pretty much around the league starting next week. Guys are either in town for their team, where their team is playing, or they're going to be playing this year, or they're doing stuff last minute, like what we're seeing with Erik Johnson right now, where he's skating down at Family Sports, the Avs practice facility, and all of his Flyers regalia. And then after that, it's official team activities, rookies reporting, physicals, the tournaments start for all the prospects and stuff. And I told everyone yesterday that yesterday was, I believe, my final off-season show solo, because you're here today, you're here Friday, and then I would say that we've made it through the off-season, right?
Yeah, this definitely feels like the final week of the off-season. And yeah, you're right. It's still fun seeing Erik Johnson out there. I'm curious as to like how many other unofficial skates are going on around the league, or if this is just Erik Johnson still bleeding out his time with the Avalanche, right? He's like, well, I don't want to show up to camp out of shape. I need to skate off all the ice cream I ate this summer. And, the Nathan MacKinnon's still the devil on his shoulder. Like, you better skate, you fatty. You don't want to show up to training camp being slow and out of shape. So, I wonder how many guys are really getting into this full ramp up here before their own training camps, or how many guys just show up to training camp like, I'm ready. I do a lot of off ice stuff, and I'm ready to hit the ice when training camp starts.
When it's getting going. I would imagine that some of these are going on, more going on than we realize. But like next week is always the funny like period in all of this, because if you show up to Family Sports next week, one of the sheets of ice will be Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Miko Rantanen, Erik Johnson will probably still be out. Like, they're big name guys start showing up and running like full speed scrimmages. It's like the best beer league drop-in you can ever watch in your life.
No beer though.
No beer.
Maybe some quench.
Maybe. And it's just so funny because there's no coaches aren't allowed to be out there for those. So you just have a bunch of players like directing drills and all that, and then they just start scrimmaging. But it's really fun. So I've seen a couple videos of skates going on just around the country, and it's there's a lot of them that are like, oh, there's some college guys and a couple AHL guys and a couple NHL guys. You weren't on Friday.
No.
What do you think of the neck guard stuff in the AHL?
Oh, I think it's interesting step. I mean, just like when they mandated helmets, everybody's like, this is garbage. If I don't want to wear a helmet, I shouldn't have to. Where eventually it will just be part of what's expected and what's done. So yeah, I think at first people are going to be like felt like their rights are infringed upon, right?
But how do you feel about it? Like if you were an AHL player and you're told, hey, starting 2 weeks from now, you've got to wear a neck guard. Just how do you feel?
Well, I would
you
ask
care?
myself why. Well, they're trying to save my life. All right, I'll play ball. Right? Like I understand it's few and far between the cases of skates coming up to necks, but last year we saw it a few times, right?
To the neck?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see it in the NHL, but we saw it around other leagues and at different levels. A couple people got sliced in the neck. So I think
I don't remember more than one. It was horrible.
I remember a second one happening right within that same time.
Really?
Frame. Yeah. It was in junior, I think, Canada. I think it was. We'll look at it later, but it's preventative, right? And if it's meant to save the life and it makes sense, there's reason to do it. I'm with it. The game is getting so fast. Look at Gabe Landeskog's knee, right? What a freak accident. A skate just pops up. You can't trust the skate popping up anymore. Plus, these guys love to have their skates nice and sharp at all times. Like, they can slice through a lot of things. So I think
there's a lot of guys who get fresh steals in between
periods,
each period,
shifts, even sometimes. So yeah, I think it's gonna be, there's gonna be pushback at first, but at the end of the day, it's for safety, and it's something I would jump on board with for that reason, especially if it's like, hey, if you're gonna provide me with these neck guards and I'm gonna look
all right, so
cool in them.
That's what you just said right there is my ultra cynical. I don't like the mandate of it. I don't know if you watched the show Friday or some of the clips, but I don't like them saying you have to wear it. I'm all in favor for the leagues coming out and saying, hey, the league and the PA have gotten together and we think that we want to highly encourage players to wear this. It's a safety issue. You know, you guys wear the wrist guards, you guys wear the ankle guards, or I guess they're not ankle guards, they're Kevlar socks. But, you know, and just say we think that it is in every player's best interest to wear this. And then let every player decide. I just don't like it because you're telling everyone they have to do it. And what my fear that this is going to turn into is, and now make sure you put on your neck guard, brought to you by the official neck guard of the NHL CCM. And blah, blah, blah. And hey, we had this whole and if they're going to say we want players to do it, go out and get the one that makes sense for you, the one that's comfortable, that you feel you can perform in, that doesn't hinder you. Go out because we think this is that important, then fine. Because again, that was what everyone was saying, visors or helmets, then visors. I just argue that those are different because we see face and head injuries, sticks, pucks, hitting the ice, hitting the boards every game, multiple times every game.
You kind of make the point for me, though. It's a business, right? They might ultimately sell it, sure, because they're trying to generate revenue any way they can, but they're also trying to protect their own investments, right? And the last thing you want is some bad PR that, oh, hockey suddenly become a game where you can slit your throat on accident. I remember a few years back, I think it was the New York Rangers mandated that all their players wear those skate guards that block the shot blockers. And I think those
Patrick Waugh did that too.
Yeah. And those I think eventually became less mandated, but it was to protect the player. It was to protect their investment, their asset, and the well-being of the team. I mean, if your best player gets a puck to the foot because he's blocking shots because he wasn't wearing the skate blockers, I mean, it could have been prevented, right? It's I guess I'm the wrong person to ask because I'm always like pro equipment. I always still find it silly that players aren't wearing full cages. Oh, I can't breathe. Oh, I can't see. Like, come on, give me a break. You can easily see. And at the expense of, remember when Nathan McKinnon broke his nose because of a freak stick accident? And then suddenly you're missing Nathan McKinnon for a handful of games.
The not being able to see thing, I think, is, well, short term. I think it's more understandable than not being able to breathe. I've heard people say that before. Oh, I put the cage on the chimp strap, I can't breathe. It's like, what? It's fully open.
Yeah.
It's like all open air. But I will say, like, I switched to a visor, years ago, just being a dumb kid. Like, oh, you can now. And I will say I still wear one, and I should put a full shield back on. But the times where I've had to throw a cage back on, it definitely messes with you at first. So I can understand if you're Nathan McKinnon, you've worn a visor since you were 15 playing in the queue. I can understand why you would argue that, that kind of messes you up a little bit, but it's like, okay, cool. Wear a bubble.
Those are what I hear make it really hard to breathe in.
Yeah. But
yeah, there's alternatives. Sure. And yeah, I think it's all just about being safe. And I think with any evolution, there's going to be people who aren't on board and there's going to be people who are, but then as time passes and it just becomes a regular thing, nobody even recognizes it.
And so
anymore.
I guess maybe my question is, do you think this is a necessary piece of equipment? Every player needs to have one. And again, because I mean, you were just saying like that you think that every player should wear a full face shield. I'm not going to say you're wrong if you say that you think it is. That's my thing with it, I guess, is I don't feel like the net guards right now, given what we see in terms of rate of injury with that.
I guess let me ask you this. Let me answer your question.
I would mandate Kevlar socks before I do net guards, because that's the one that kills me. You're going to have players in the American Hockey League skating around with a Kevlar net guard and cotton socks on.
I skate with cotton socks.
Right.
But what harm does it do to mandate it? Does it affect the game? Are players going to say, I can't perform the way I'm supposed to?
That's what they told us last year.
By wearing this.
That's what they told us last year.
Well,
I don't want to wear it. They're restrictive. They're hot.
Do you remember when we went up to Freddie Olofsson because he was the only one wearing one, and we tried to talk to him about it, and he turned us away?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, no, because I don't want this to be a big deal. It's not a big deal. Everybody should wear it. In Sweden, we all wore them, and it wasn't a big deal. It shouldn't be an issue. It's just about safety. And I think if it's about safety and it's for the betterment of not only players, but the league as a whole, again, it's not like it's so common that we see people missing games. Thankfully. So why not nip it in the bud before it even grows to be a blossomed flower of death?
And again, I understand the arguments on it, and I see where you're coming from. Using the Freddie Olofsson example, I also look at Ross Colton, who tried it out for about 2 weeks in practice before abandoning it and never using it in a game. I think when you're as much of a creature of habit and you've played as much hockey as these guys have, and you're as finely tuned as they are, as silly as it may sound, and I know there's going to be people out there who roll their eyes at me saying this, like it's a compression turtleneck that's, Kevlar. It's meant to be a little bit thicker. I absolutely think that, again, especially if you don't want to wear it, I do think a lot of it too is about the mindset. Like Freddie Olofsson, don't care. It's whatever. I'll wear it if I have to.
Yeah.
As for Ross Colton, clearly it bothered him. I do also think the new net guards are much more significant, because that was my argument right after all this stuff happened last year in the UK, was the standard net guards that the Hockey Canada requires their World Juniors kids to wear. It's like, yeah, that wouldn't have made a difference.
Then they wear them like little chokers, and
the Velcro.
Yeah, those are stupid.
I can see skin,
and not only that, they look
stupid.
Here.
Right. And so that was my argument. Was like, why would you mandate that? That wouldn't have made a shred of difference in this instance. But if you're talking about the ones that, were either the Freddie Olofsson bib or the compression shirts that are all one piece, it's a lot more coverage. It comes up much higher. I don't know. I also think that I wonder if the PHPA is going to push back and say you can't require this.
It would just be silly not to. I mean, it's for the betterment of everybody, and if it's a slight inconvenience while you adjust to it, you will adjust. It's not like, oh, my career's over because now I have to wear a net guard. Oh, it might be too hot. We'll cut off the sleeves. Make it so that it's not so hot on you. Wear the bib.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a way to do it.
So you sound overall pro this move.
I think so. I'm pro that move.
And what I said on Friday too, I think the real tell is going to be guys who are getting called up. If guys who are getting called up are taking them off immediately, then that'll be our sign saying, yeah, players don't like it. They don't want them. They don't like it.
But you can't make that decision on such a brief little
well, no, I'm just
window.
saying over the course of this whole season.
I'm saying over the course of 5 years, yeah, you might see that happen this season. But then 5 years down the line, when this has been established and this is something,
but again, and I think that's where it'll be cured, because if it stays, because right now it's just the AHL,
Mhm.
so
which is a trial league for the NHL. We
Right.
know that.
right. But my thing is, if it stays for multiple years where it's just the AHL, again, I think that's going to be the tell. If players are getting used to it, yeah, you played 60% of the season in the AHL, you got called up, and the first thing you did was get rid of the net guard. Then, like, you've played several months in it, and they still don't like. I'm, and maybe I'm more surprised that they did it for this season. That was just surprising to me, was that they said, hey, we're rolling this out. There's no grandfather rule. It's top to bottom, officials and players starting in 2 weeks. I'm really surprised to see a pro hockey league moving that quickly on something.
Do you think that there are any players out there that are like
Pissed? Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
why?
Look,
What's it gonna do?
We talked to players last year about wearing them, and the overwhelming majority of them said, I don't want it.
But they also said, like, if it was mandatory, I'd do it.
Well, yeah, because what's their other option?
Right. So don't give them another option. Make it mandatory and let the evolution of the game take over until suddenly everybody wants one and everybody wears one, because that's just the way it has been.
Well, I guess that was the other thing I was gonna say, was if it, and I know junior leagues are requiring it now too, which I'm heavily in favor of. These are kids, 15 to 17 years old. That I'm in favor of. I get it. And maybe that'll start to be the change that you're talking about, where they're coming up through the game, playing with them anyways.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean.
But again, like I just, if it stays, it's required in these leagues and not these leagues. I don't think you're ever going to get there to where it's just universally worn.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to draw the parallel with football, right? And how much bad PR they've had over the last 10 years or so with CTE, and they've evolved their helmets. Some helmets are these giant makes me think of Spaceballs, right?
Yeah. Totally.
And
did you see that they actually approved that they can wear those padded caps in games this year?
No, I didn't.
So
see
they have like a sleeve that they can pull over them that matches the regular helmet. But that Jonathan Taylor guy in Indianapolis is doing it. He's like one of the first guys that's wearing the.
Well, and just yesterday there was the news report of a high school kid who got killed on the field after a hit. He was a quarterback, took a massive hit, and he died.
Well, so go ahead, but I actually want to.
That's just, I think that's the NHL getting ahead of anything like that happening. Again, I know it's not that common, but a freak accident can really unravel a lot of things. And I think we saw it. What league was that it happened in last year?
I believe it was the EHL, which is the England Hockey League. There might be an extra letter in there,
and I'm sure Gary Bettman was sitting there like, whew, thank God that didn't happen to us, because this really would have been a nightmare. They're trying to get ahead of that and just prevent it from ever happening in the first place. And I think that's perfectly fine.
My only argument with the football comparison, and to your point, this isn't the first skate to neck situation we've seen, but thank God I can remember all three that I've seen, and one of them I wasn't alive for. I've just seen the footage of. My argument with the football comparison is, do you remember, I believe it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, it's the guy from the Bills who took that crazy hit to the chest and he stood up.
Yep.
And then he just, that was the way he collapsed was like one of the scariest things I've ever seen. But his heart stopped because of a hit to the chest. It hit him at the right moment where his heart contracted and it like stopped it. This to me feels a little bit like if the NFL put in a mandatory rule about hitting to the midsection based off that one play. Where it's like, hey, you recognize that there's a danger here and that you want to do something preventative to get ahead of it. But are there enough instances to justify a mandatory rule change? And let me also be clear. I don't have to wear the neck guard. I don't actually, like you said, if it saves one life, then it was worth it. If one person lives who wouldn't have otherwise because of these neck guards, or even forget that, if their career can continue, then they were a success. And I totally get that, and I'm on board with that. I just know with the guys that we talked to last year, I struggle to see this ever making it to the NHL level. I just don't think the players would like it. And I think if the league ever tried to do it, I think the PA would have a fit.
Not to keep bringing up and diving this point home, but you also have to understand the legal ramifications of it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Last thing you want, if you're Gary Bettman, is someone to get sliced in the neck, possibly pass away, or just not able to continue their career, and suddenly you have a lawsuit on your hands, right? And I think
why didn't you mandate it?
Yeah, sad enough to say that probably is a bigger motive for Gary Bettman and the NHL than actually protecting players and their well-being. Is probably like, well, we don't want to get ourselves into a big mess like that.
Here, I guess, is my other thing. And this will be my last point on it. It just feels like, okay, well, why are you mandating this? And it feels like you're skipping a lot. I think the wrist guards should be mandatory before the neck guard. I think Kevlar socks protecting your Achilles should be mandatory before the neck guard. This, and maybe this is I'm discovering this live on air. Maybe I just feel this way because it feels like you're skipping steps. And it's like there's plenty of other stuff that you could or should be putting in place instead of this, or before this, or in conjunction with this.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point.
And maybe it feels in my head a little bit like the like kind of performative, like, oh, a big thing happened, so we're putting this rule in place. And it's like, yeah, we had to watch Erik Karlsson get his Achilles sliced live on air. And again, you can still just wear regular compression socks,
or none at all.
And so maybe that's why this is like sticking so weird in my head. It's like, yeah, there's plenty of other safety issues that you could deal with ahead of this.
Yeah. I'm excited for the full body Under Armour suit made of Kevlar. Well, I would wear the shit out of that.
They need to be doing more stuff made out of that. Yeah. Like all jokes aside, like I think the hockey socks even need to be made out of that. Like, why isn't all of that stuff cut proof?
Yeah, 100%.
If we're going to be mandating Kevlar neck guards for safety, because again, there's a scar on my leg right there
from a skate.
Oh man. Yeah. And so like it's no joke, like they're very sharp. They are weapons. So like there's a lot of stuff you should be wrapping in Kevlar if you're going to go to this extent.
I'm with that.
All right, I think we're good on Kevlar and neck guards.
I don't even think we were planning on talking about
I wasn't. That. And I wanted to ask you how you thought about it, and you just, as always, start making great points and good topics of conversation, JJ.
Yeah, I wasn't just going to be here. I agree with everything you said.
Jesse's right. Let's move on. That's how most conversations go in my life. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Jay's probably back there like, this son of a bitch. Let's talk about all right. Yaroslav Askarov.
I'm kind of curious of the comments. I'm sorry.
All right, let's go to some of the comments. I'm due for a new prescription, so I can't see them up there.
All I see is on the rocks.
Helmets have ads on them. They do. Yeah, see? Vaguely gets it. First, they con you in with, oh, we're putting helmets on for your safety, and then it's just a billboard. And that was a joke.
I know.
But I do feel that way about if it's the official net guard of the NHL, suddenly this does feel like more, or of the AHL, this feels like more of a money grab than a safety thing.
You got to monetize where you can, right? I mean, yeah, if safety's the motive number one, and if you can monetize it, that's just cherries on top, right? It's
the seatbelt argument all over again. Again, I I disagree with the seatbelt argument. Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Of there's two videos that go around that always crack me up from like the 70s, 80s. One was when they outlawed drinking in the car, and people were like, "This is bullshit. How am I supposed to get in the car, crack open a cold beer?"
Yeah.
And then the other one is the when they mandated seatbelts, and they're like, "God, what are they going to tell us next? We can't drink in the car." And the videos are just funny to watch in conjunction. But again, I think I and it's where I'm, and maybe I'm just being an idiot, but like, no, car accidents happen every day. Every day, car accidents happen. That's why you need a seatbelt. People take a hockey. We'll go to training camp and see 3 people get sticks to the face. You need a visor covering your eyes.
So like my son right now, he's a year and a half. So we have 3.5 years till he goes to school, right? And my thought is like, man, I really want to get him out of this country. I'd love to go to Spain, where my family's from.
Such a departure from what I thought you were going to say.
Put him in a school where I am not going to be worried that it's going to get shot up.
Okay.
Because in America, that's a very common thing, right?
Yep. And
I've had people be like, oh, well, we went to school. We never got shot. I understand that. But everywhere else, the probability is 0.
Well,
here in America, the probability is more than 0. So why not go to where
I'd say
it's non-zero?
0. I'd say it's non-zero everywhere else, and then much higher here.
No, it's 0 everywhere else.
Well, I mean, like the odds of a grand piano falling on you when you walk outside are like they're always almost 0, but they're never fully 0. You know what I mean?
I mean, statistically, it's 0.
Is it? You're saying it's impossible for you to walk outside and a shipment of grand pianos that was flying over Denver, one falls out? You're saying it's absolutely impossible for a grand piano to fall on you when you walk outside?
Whatever. You're getting ridiculous now.
I know.
You want to crack your beer in your driver's seat, don't you?
I need a beer after work. I told him yesterday, for a silly goose time to end preseason. Don't care who knows it. Don't care who knows.
I'm always here for a silly goose time, no matter what time of the year we're at.
Time of year, regardless. Keep going. I completely derailed your point.
That was my point. That was the end. Why not make it 0 if it's a possibility to be 0 rather than point anything? Right? If it's greater than 0 or 0, it's an easy decision to go with the 0.
It's solid logic, and I'm not even being funny.
You rarely are.
I know.
But thanks for your contributions. Vaguely sober.
Were there any other comments that you wanted to go through up there?
No, I think that's good.
Yeah,
we'll wrap everyone.
Shout out to Vaguely, always. Let's talk about what we were setting out to talk about. Goaltending. Yaroslav Askarov. It sounds like the Avs are in on it, and I'm
not surprised.
Not surprised, and also that would have been a really nice get for them.
Yeah,
that would have been big for them. He fetches a couple prospects, conditional first. San Jose sees this as a guy who can be a number 1. They gave him a 2-year, $2 million per deal that kicks in for next season. And we've seen a lot of movement on the goalie market this summer. Boston finally does break up the dynamic duo. They move Linus Ullmark to Ottawa. There's a lot going on with the Avs in terms of what's happening next. The Avs have really embraced the philosophy of you can pay a little bit less in net as long as you invest that money smartly in front of them. Florida just won the Stanley Cup with a $10 million goaltender. Like, there's a lot of competing theories when it comes to goaltending around the league. And now you look in Boston, where they just moved on from Linus Ullmark, who, him and Jeremy Swayman have had this great 1-2 punch. And now they've got Jeremy Swayman, multi-time Vezina finalist, Vezina winner. Reports are he's seeking $10 million plus per season on his next deal. And I guess my first question is, what are your thoughts on Jeremy Swayman? Do you think he's worth that? And second, how do you, if you were building a team, what would you do in net in terms of how you'd want to spend that money?
I mean, my question to myself, even driving in here, was like, is any goalie worth that? Like, yeah, you might use it to entice a goalie to come to a team when you're really in desperate need of a goalie. But you and I talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's not imperative to have A+ goalie in net to win. I mean, let's look at the Vegas Golden Knights, the Avalanche. It's wild to me that that's maybe, I mean, we'll see if he even gets it, but you just pointed out Bobrovsky. There is a market for $10 million goalies out there, but I don't know if it's imperative to a winning team. So I would personally not invest. I'd do it exactly the way the Avalanche are doing it. I think that's the smart way to do it. Keep it light on the pocketbook. Find somebody who's out there to prove themselves. And hey, if it's someone that wants to stick around for a reasonable deal, then you have them stick around. But if they're suddenly asking for $10 million, I mean, look, you could have had Jeremy Swayman and Linus Allmark for $5 million a piece and keep that together. But he's like, no, I want all the money. Get my friend out of here. I want $10 million. Right. So obviously that's what's more important to him here. And it's interesting from Boston's point of view, because it's like, shoot, maybe we shouldn't have gotten rid of Linus Allmark, and this is the guy we need to get out of town. But I think it's asinine for a goalie to make that much money. But at the same time, it's tough for goalies to sit there and watch all the other pros, all the other stars getting that kind of money. And you're like, well, I thought I was important to this team and to winning.
Especially, and again, it's so funny philosophy-wise. Because like you look at the NFL, and not necessarily the money, because the money's not even comparative. It's, it's CeeDee Lamb, who's never won anything, and is just like an above average wide receiver, is making $35 million a year.
And it's just like in the NFL, everybody's so replaceable too. Like,
dude, it's crazy. They're so replaceable so quick. Yeah. Like, so quarterbacks, the one position that isn't allegedly replaceable. How they are the centerpiece of how much money is made, and that's who makes the most. And I do just find it funny that like goalie is kind of looked at in the same vein as quarterbacks, of like highly specialized. You got to be mentally tough. You got to be a different breed than the rest of the players to play this position. Yet there is this kind of like competing theory suddenly in the NHL, like, you can get anyone to do that.
I feel like where goaltending has gotten, like, it's such a robotic position nowadays, right? Where they're very replaceable. There's a lot of capable goalies, whereas the NFL, it's not so much the same case. You have to have the cerebral aspect of it as well to go along with your physical abilities. That I feel like it's hard to compare a goalie and a quarterback anymore. And that's me. I'm the Colorado president of goaltender in the press box, right? Everybody comes to me for goalie questions and theories. Evan straight up is like, I don't know anything about goalies. You tell me what to think. And
that's right, Evan.
He's watching.
Just remember that.
Our show's biggest fan. We got to have him back on soon.
I know. Evan, if you're watching, please text us so you can come on the show.
But yeah, I think goaltending is just it's not the same that it used to be. There's very less X factors when it comes to goalie, and it's so much about positioning. And
to me, dude, there's two goalies in the league that I would feel comfortable saying they're going to turn in a Vezina caliber performance every year. And that's Andrei Vasilevsky and Connor Hellebuyck. Even Igor Shesterkin, not a bunch, but he has even had in his 3 or 4 years as considered to be an elite goaltender, he's had some stretches of, I don't know. Vasilevsky, I think, is a rare example of a goaltender who's a difference maker every night. Connor Hellebuyck, I feel similar, but I'm even a little bit reluctant to say that after the Avs just hung a 5 GAA on him in the first round of the playoffs. So to your point, I just think it's becoming the pool of above average goaltenders is getting larger and larger every year, and the pool of elite goaltenders is just shrinking.
Yeah. Does a great goaltender make your team better? Yes. But does it make it better to a factor?
But like, I think you've got to already have a good team.
Right. Exactly. And a great goaltender will maybe win you a couple more games.
John Gibson is maybe a great example in this. John Gibson, by the numbers, has been one of the league's best goalies for the last 10 years. He's been, if you watch him on a lot of those nights, it's like this game could be 8-0. Mm-hmm. Instead, it's 4-0. You know what I mean? Yep. Like, and he's maybe the best example of, he was Team North America. He's been Team USA. He's been widely considered one of the best goaltenders in the league. Hasn't won anything because his team's terrible.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, kind of to the opposite side of it, right? The losing side, he can win you some games,
but what does it matter?
And a great goalie on a great team might be able to win you a couple games, but probably less.
Well, so let's even
less of a factor.
Let's even say John Gibson, and let's go back to 2021. Let's say John Gibson, Andre Vasilevsky.
Mm-hmm.
Both, again, by the numbers. I don't know if 2021 was an elite year for Gibson. You get the point I'm trying to make. Let's say you have them both in an elite goaltender category. Andre Vasilevsky, and let's even continue even further. Let's say because they're both considered elite goaltenders, they both win you 5 additional games, and that you could say our goalie won us 5 games this year. For Vasilevsky and the Lightning, that meant winning the division, getting an easier first-round opponent, and being able to stay fresh deeper into the playoffs. For Anaheim, that meant instead of picking 3rd, you picked 4th. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think of like the Chris Osgood, Patrick Waugh era, right? One goalie was absolutely better than the other, but at the end of the day, they kind of had the same accomplishments and the same success. I don't think
in terms of team success.
Yeah. So I mean, teams all the time play a backup goalie, right? Does that mean that they're like, oh, we're going to lose this game? No, they do it in hopes that they're still going to win, because there are viable options out there aside from the top guy in the league or the top 3 guys in the league, top 5, whatever. More people can play goaltender than just one. It's why you see that split happening more and more every year, right? It used to be, 80-20? Now it's more of a 60-40.
Mm-hmm.
In the NFL, back to the quarterback comparison, they want their quarterback in that game every single game.
Every game, every snap, yeah.
Of course, 82 games is unreasonable to ask, but if winning was really so important and it was impossible to do with any other goalie, it would be 100% of the time.
And now I do also want to say, because we're talking about what's the value of a goaltender and, are they worth it? Are they not? On the flip side, a bad goaltender can cost you.
Yeah.
Like, you need to make sure that you're in that good to above average tier.
What do you think is the appropriate market for what should a great goalie cost a team?
Like a difference-making goalie.
Elite. I'm still not even fully on board that Jeremy Swayman is in that conversation.
I'm not either.
Vasilevsky,
I'm not either. That's the other part of this conversation. This particular conversation, I think Jeremy Swayman's really good. I also think he plays behind a very structurally solid team. And again, there's gonna be people like, oh, well, you could say the same thing about the Avs. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying about the Avs. So the Avs have embraced, we don't need you to be unbelievable. We just need you to be good enough. And I think Jeremy Swayman's an above average goaltender. I think he's a very good goaltender. I don't think he's in the tier of Vasilevsky and Connor Hellebuck.
So let's role play. There's a brand new NHL team, the Highlands Ranch, whatever's.
Highlanders.
And Jesse Montaño is the GM. Connor Hellebuck calls you and says, I want to come play for your team. What are you willing to pay me?
Do we know what he makes right now?
I don't. Not off the top of my head.
Pay no attention as I look this up. So it's Hellebuck.
I mean, can we agree he's the best goalie in the league?
I think Vasilevsky's the best goalie of all time.
All time.
I do.
All right.
You could maybe make the argument that it's Hellebuck right now, though.
Okay, well, Vasilevsky calls you then.
Oh, my God. Hellebuck makes 8.5. Vasilevsky calls me. I would say for him, again, knowing what we know, knowing what our opinions are, and if I'm saying, all right, well, Jeremy Swayman wants to make more than both those guys. That's crazy to me.
What does Vasilevsky make?
9.5.
Okay.
I would say, again, if I'm starting a team and I'm in year one of a window, I probably wouldn't want to pay more than 8 for someone that I think is like an elite goaltender. Am I saying that Vasilevsky and Hellebuck aren't worth more than that? No, but I'm just saying for me, if I'm putting together a team, 8 I think would be like my wow, that you've got to be the guy 75% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, what? That's 10% of your cap,
right? And I just feel like if you're going anything beyond that,
10% of your cap,
and you're
5% of your team is basically
well,
what that is.
Well, and again, that's to your argument about the quarterback situation. I'm paying 10% of the cap to know I'm not getting every game. If you give that to a player, it's safe to assume they're probably not going to play all 82, but you hope that they're playing 75 plus.
Mm-hmm.
And for a goaltender, I'm saying I'm signing this, and on day one, I know I actually don't want you playing more than 65 games. But I really do. I think if I'm building a team from scratch with my, kind of like fantasy draft, process, I don't think I'm wanting to spend more than 8 on one goaltender, because here's the other part of this. You're not even done in net. So you've got $8 million to one person,
right,
and you still need to find another goaltender.
Yep.
It's really nice to have a goaltender like that, like a Vasilevsky or like a Hellebuck. But again, the Avs have beat both those goaltenders in the playoffs in the last 3 years.
Yep.
And it didn't take them 7 games either time.
Didn't even take them $7 million.
My favorite line from that whole 2022 Stanley Cup final was Vasilevsky telling Bednar, "You guys were too much for me," going through the handshake line. He said, "I tried my best. You guys were too much." He had literally, what was it? 19 straight series that he had won or something like that?
Darcy Kemper was there like, oh, well, that was easy.
Huh? What? Did we win? And so, yeah, I really do. I think 10 million is the most that you can spend on 2 goaltenders in that. I think that's the most you can spend.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
What was the other thing you want to talk about?
Miko Rantanen, especially
Miko Rantanen.
What's the holdup? I mean, I know.
I just think he's not in town yet. I just think they're waiting for him to get back.
Can't send him a
DocuSign.
Yeah,
hey, DocuSign.
A notary to Finland.
Not a sponsor yet, but
meet him at the embassy.
I mean, I'm sure they could, but I'm sure there's a photo op that'll go along with it. I believe he's signing a long-term deal. I think it's going to be a close to like an Av for life type of thing.
So you think the handshake has been made? They just need to formally finalize it.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe not every last I and T have been dotted and crossed, but I think both sides pretty much agree in principle. There's maybe a couple decimal points they've got to get sorted out, but based on what I've heard,
well, and that's the thing is, to all the trolls out there on Reddit, we both have heard very reliable things that this is very close. So everybody that was ripping on Jesse, this is me being an enforcer here. You stop ripping on Jesse. He's got sources. We know for a fact they're this close to finishing that.
And then Elliot Friedman reports it as well.
Oh, but we believe him, right?
Well, I was going to say, and Elliot Friedman comes out last week and says, yes, it is widely believed among NHL circles that this is just about over the finish line. Yeah, like you said, I'm not one to do, but the people that we talk to, I feel very confident in what we've been told. And I think it's a matter of logistics at this point. He'll get back to the U.S. He'll get back to Colorado. Once he get, he'll probably get on the ice a day or two.
You remember that year he was holding out from camp,
Mm-hmm.
and Landeskog welcomed him back in the parking lot with a sign. I don't know.
I forgot about that. I forgot about the Landeskog
Welcome home,
part
Miko, right?
Yeah. And I do. I think Miko will get back into town. Him and C-Mac will see each other. Hey, let's sit down here in the next couple days, get that ironed out, and they'll get it done. They'll get the signature on it. They'll get the photo. Av for life. Miko Rantanen's going to be here long term.
I just wanted to clear that air because I had seen the stuff on Reddit that I wasn't in favor of, and really,
I appreciate
really
that.
ripping my guy Jesse. And there's a lot of things that those people don't understand that we do know. We are, in fact, insiders, not just sitting here on a couch watching from afar.
Yeah, no, we're there. We talk to people, and we have interesting conversations all the time. And it was brought to my attention that, hey, this might be getting close, so we reached out to a couple folks, and I feel confident that this is going to get done quickly once he gets back. I don't think they want this spilling, because if this spills into the season, that's typically where one side or the other says, well, we want to pause till the season's over. Because now suddenly, if you're Miko Rantanen, not even on the like, well, I don't feel like they value me, or whatever potentially you could be talking about. Now suddenly, if you're Miko Rantanen and you go out and have a 65 goal year, well, that conversation changes dramatically. So neither side wants us to spill into the season. Miko's side doesn't want to spill into the season to be a distraction, and suddenly having to play with this cloud over your head of like, oh, well, are you leaving after this? And the Avs don't want it to spill into the season because Mikko Rantanen's an elite level player who could pop off and suddenly cost you a lot more money. So I get why people are antsy. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. We reported that it's getting close. I get it. Mikko Rantanen's not even here. He's in Finland running youth camps and just kind of enjoying his summer. He'll get back.
I'm sure.
Oh, totally, dude.
I would say there's a 0% chance that it leaks into the season, spills into the season.
I would feel pretty confident saying that as well.
I thought you didn't believe in 0%.
That's why I said pretty confident.
I tried to get you.
What was that, Dumb and Dumber? I don't bet. I'll bet you I can get you gambling by the end of the trip.
How dumb are we? We don't have cards.
They're right behind you.
I know, but like ready.
Damn, we need a technical difficulty screen so that I could
I'll reach them.
You can get them? Yeah. Can you?
Oh, yeah.
You can't. I'll just get up and get them. You riff while I go walk behind you.
Okay, I will riff about the BMW Championship because I don't know why you didn't ask me about that. I saw Logan O'Connor there. He was there enjoying the awesome golf tournament that was there at Castle Pines. A couple qualms I have. I will say, as awesome as it was, maybe my top 3 sporting events I've ever attended, it's way better to watch on TV. You can actually follow a lot more of it when you're watching on TV. Whereas if you have basically 2 choices if you're present at the golf tournament. You follow one group to watch through all 18 holes, or you sit at one hole and watch all the groups come
through.
And then you kind of like, it's so much harder to keep up with. You're constantly checking your phone for the scores, who's done what. So much harder to follow. Really awesome experience.
Yeah, made for TV though.
Golf is way better on TV.
All right, love it.
And the golf course, it's not like a stadium, right? A stadium is designed for thousands of people to show up, parking lots. A country club golf course is not equipped for that. So tons of traffic getting in and out. The merchandise tents were an absolute disaster. I saw Brady there, a guy that works here at Guerrilla Sports. So somebody had merch from the BMW Championship up there. They had to be very patient, or just one of the animalistic people that are just like, get out of my way. I'm the one looking for
Really?
It was nuts. Like I walked in there hoping to buy something, and I beelined it out of there. Like, nope, don't need anything this bad. It was like
I do love a nice event merch.
It's like
shirt, pin, hat.
Right. But I'll just take the memories with me because it reminded me of like a movie where there's an apocalypse and everybody's raiding the grocery store. Like that's what it felt like walking.
2020. Oh my God. It was like 2020 again.
Yeah. Everybody was after the toilet paper in the BMW Championship, but awesome experience. Seeing Logan O'Connor was cool.
Did you talk to him?
I kind of just gave him a what's up.
Nod, yeah.
Saw BK, also Guerrilla Sports there.
Yeah.
Saw a lot of people I know, which is cool.
It's cool that dude, Denver's a great sports city. Like when stuff comes through here, people embrace it.
And
Like
they're so good. The golfing is just on.
So I was
level.
told it's just one of those things, like seeing them up close is just very different.
Well, and the adjustments that they had to make playing at Castle Pines, the uphill, the downhill, the wind that exists above the trees, the altitude adjustments, and they're still able to plop these balls within inches of the pin. Xander Schauffele was probably the most impressive to me. But yeah, getting to see all the top 50 golfers, it was like an all-star game of golf. It was freaking awesome. Great job by Castle Pines.
And remember, folks, this is the last week of off-season shows.
Yeah, next week we'll start our golf show.
Matt brought it up
I'm
yesterday.
just
No,
hoping.
well, you're already opening now. Now you got to start. Now
Okay.
JJ's going first.
I'm going first
I
here.
love it. You know what? It'll change it up. You didn't have a great pack the last 2 episodes.
You're right. I did need a shake-up. Starting with
Mojo.
Jared McCann. And these are the metal cards again. These ones are sick.
Damn, I wish we got some like coach cards. I thought you were going to say Jared Bednar for a second. I was like, no.
They should make coach cards. Do they not?
They might.
Scheifele.
Okay.
Huh.
I don't recognize that guy from the Avs Jets series this past season.
Hey-oh. Here's an interesting one. Evgeny Kuznetsov, no longer in the NHL.
Yeah.
But it is like a
Whoa.
different one. But it's kind of lame.
Dude, that's like a glamour shot.
It's like a metal. It's from the metal pack, and this isn't
It's not
metal at
metal.
all.
Boo.
It's not very metal, bro.
Well, that's also a horrible picture of Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like him in my opinion.
All starring.
Jacob Perreault, boring. Ooh, my favorite player in the NHL,
Ooh.
Matt Kachuk.
All right. Nice. That's a good one.
Oh, sticking with the theme,
Another guy.
Brad
you like.
Marchand.
You're big.
Well, they're just similar style
B
players.
Marsh guy?
I'm
All
not
right.
a big B Marsh guy, but
All right.
they have very similar get under your skin.
Totally.
Oh, I thought this was going to be Brady Kachuk. Josh Norris. So
That
no,
would have been pretty sick to get.
not the greatest pack.
But hey, I like the Kachuk, and then like I said, that senior picture of Evgeny Kuznetsov is kind of fun. Stick over your shoulder. All right. This is the last
Of the
Metal
series?
series pack.
No.
We've got a couple more that we'll do for Friday, but then we'll get some more good ones in here. Once the season starts. Ooh, I can already tell the one in the back is a cool card, but Tage Thompson, starting with Tage Thompson, Buffalo Sabres. Whoa.
Card of the day?
Dude. This is one card.
That's the rest of the pack?
This is the whole pack. This is the whole thing.
They gave you 2 cards and one was just a thick one? That's wild. Does it open?
I don't know.
I've never seen a card like that.
There's literally 2 cards. Look at that. Watch your destructive oils, though.
I won't get my oils on it. Yeah, this is one thick card. It's about as metal as it gets.
So
Jesper Bratt.
when I picked up the pack, it felt a little like, excuse me, heavy. I was like, ooh, maybe there's something cool in here. And then you just heard me say, oh, I can tell the one in the back's cool. I saw Jesper Bratt, move the one card, and there was Jesper Bratt. That's
Just 2 cards.
I don't
Never
know.
seen anything like it.
I don't know what to do with
That
this.
better be worth some bucks, or we're filing a complaint.
Someone tell
They
Matt
owe us.
to come down here.
They owe us 5 more cards.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. What a way to end the
Nice.
off season.
48. Yeah, I was gonna say. We've got one more. We'll open one of those other packs Friday, but there's like 20 cards in each pack, so it'll be a little bit longer open. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. I don't know what to do with this. Anything else, JJ?
Thick with 2 C's. You're right, vaguely sober. No, I got the BMW Championship off my chest. That's all I really wanted to talk about today. So I'm good.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah, I think that's it for me too.
Cool.
Excited to get back to the rink. Coming up soon.
Yeah, fall is in the air. I think they're even serving pumpkin spice lattes now. So
As of like Saturday, I think.
yeah, so there you go. We're We're kicking into fall gear here.
Fall gear. Hockey season.
Back to hoodies and sweats for me. Golf.
I have to wear a hoodie in here every day because it's so goddamn cold.
The summer has been golf shirts and soccer jerseys only. It's been a nice dry fit summer.
You know what we should do? Did you ever watch Tosh.0 when he was on?
Did.
He would always do like a different outfit type for the season.
Yeah, you're right.
The summer of scarves and stuff like that. We should start coming up with that for the.
That's a good idea. I like that. I thought you were going to say to do the Viagra and sweatpants challenge. You remember that bit?
Jay running the board back there. Oh, that's not Jay. That's me. That's Jay. There he is. Always making sure that the show is on point from a production standpoint. He can't do anything about what you and I say.
No, yeah.
That's JJ Jerez. I'm Jesse Montaño. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you on Friday. Final off-season show of the summer, and then it's back to you in the driver's seat. Thank God.
I didn't sign up for that.
Have a great afternoon, guys.
All right.
See you Friday.
Bye.